how did, because your efforts to raise funds for IDF, which we are greatly appreciative for, really occurred because you met Ironmouse. I don't know her real name. I would just call her Ironmouse. And she's your friend. And, you learned, tell me a little bit about how you met her. Was it, I guess it was just virtually, or have you ever met her in real life? Tell me about your friendship. Tell me about that.
I met Ironmouse, oh my God, went back maybe like 2021 or 2020. I'm not exactly sure on the date. And but I just seen her stuff around because she was kind of quite prominent. I thought that she was very interesting, so I was like, oh, we should do a stream sometime together. And so we played some games, and it was very fun. And I got to speak to her a little bit more outside of the streaming, and I just thought that she was a really like interesting and unique person. And then she told me more about her disease, because at the time I was like, oh, you should, like, Japan's awesome, you should go and check it out. And then obviously I found out she can't come and check it out, unfortunately. And to me, I'd never heard of CVID at that time. I'm sure it's the same in the US as well, but I'm again from Wales, in the very countryside. Everyone's very outdoorsy, and they were like, what? No, the illness is it doesn't exist, you just have to.
Oh my, I remember that conversation. We had recorded for his video, and we ended up talking for like 4 or 5 hours after we recorded for his video, and we were just talking about lots of random stuff and stuff we liked, and he was like, oh man, you'd really like it in Japan. And I'm like, oh well, I can't go. I can't really, like, I'll never forget the way I said it. I was like, I can't really like go there. And he was like, what do you mean? And he's like, you're a streamer, of course you can go there. And I'm like, no, I can't go. And he was like, of course you can. You I'm sure you make a lot of money streaming. And I'm like, no, it's not the money. And he's like, oh, are you like afraid of flying or something? And I'm like, and at the time I didn't want to tell him. It was almost like I had to, like, I was like, well, I don't really, and I was like, I don't usually like tell people this the first time like I meet them and start talking to them, but something in me was just like, just tell him the truth. Because at first I was just gonna like lie and just be like, oh no, I just don't do much traveling. But then I decided to tell him the truth, and I was just like, so I have a condition. And he's like, condition? And I'm like, yeah. And then I explained it to him. I was gonna fucking lie and make up some shit, or like, you know how sometimes VTubers meet people and like, oh, I'm from hell. I just never did the whole like VTuber like act with him when we were on call. Like, I was just immediately myself, which I am myself on stream. I just never did the whole I'm from hell with him, It was more like, yeah, kayfabe. I never did the kayfabe stuff with him on call. I just, like, I don't know, I felt really comfortable around him, and I immediately dropped it like really fast, and I told him where I was from and all this stuff. And actually, I didn't tell him where I was from until like a week or two of us talking. But I told him like about my issue, and then that's when I told him, I was like, well, I'm just gonna be honest with you. I have this problem, and I've been dealing with it all my life, and it's gotten worse as I got older, and I have to take a lot of meds, and I have to do this, and basically like, my whole life is dictated by this problem. And he was like, oh. And I remember when I told him, he got like really sad. He got really sad for me. I could tell that he felt really bad, and he genuinely felt sad for me. And I was like, it's okay, I'm fine. Very sincere. He was just very sincere and very, when talking about that stuff. And I was like, oh man, I've known this person for a long time, but like we just met, and he treats me like a normal person, so that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I remember he was like, you can trust me. He would tell me, you can trust me with things. I didn't feel any pressure in saying stuff, and that was nice.
The illness is it doesn't exist, you just have to be more active and eat healthy. It's that's very much the kind of mindset that I grew up in. And so I'd never heard of this at all, and obviously talking to Mouse, I'd kind of learned more about it, and as a creator who'd been doing this for a very long time, at the time when I knew Mouse, I'd been working online like full time, like 6-7 years, and Mouse had just kind of started.
That's true.
And at the time, I really felt like, oh, I could, I'd love to kind of impose myself. Like, if you need any help with anything, you want any advice, I've been doing this for a very long time.
That's true. He offered me a lot of advice.
Any knowledge or any insight on any topics. And so we kind of just spoke a lot about it, and we just kind of started collaborating a lot more on stream, and it kind of became a weekly thing. And she's helped me out a lot with my streaming stuff, and it's been a very great assistance, and I've helped her out a lot, and it just kind of became a very good team, where it's always nice to have somebody who you can just kind of rely on, who's just always reliable and always delivers. And so having that kind of we're great friends, but also we work really well together professionally. We just kind of became very close. And then, the moment that any kind of charity event came up, I was like, well, I really want to help this organization that a lot of people didn't know about. And a lot of people didn't even know about the disease. So I was like, okay, this seems like a good cause. Because not to slight any charities or really rude, but I often find that a lot of people, when they do things for charity, it's very generic. And they're like, I just heard of this charity. It sounds like a good idea. Let's just do it. But I really wanted to be engaged with the charity and the message and the story to get people involved as well. I find that having a story really gets people involved in the charity. And so it kind of really just made sense and the stars kind of aligned.